guys. I have to apologize. You guys saw it. I know you guys were probably screaming at your screen saying, he got the date wrong. I just found this out. I can't delete the video. I'm going to keep it up. Even though it is November 16th and it's going to be uploaded. Well, it's scheduled for release on December 2nd. Sorry, I have dogs behind me. So, I'm just going to keep the video up. But I accidentally put May 13th instead of May 30th, 1954. So, the astrology chart you see right here is the correct one. Now, that was my mistake. I make mistakes. But it was still interesting how that even kind of proves more the... I don't know if that proves... It feels like it proves more the point, but it knows what we were talking about. Well, the symbolism matched what we were talking about, but the date was different. I don't understand. That's just weird to me. 13 plus... Like, I don't know how you got so exact on the astrology when it was a completely different day. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna see what this looks like. I forget what it looked like. Okay, so that's the 13th. And if we move it to the 30th, let me see if I can remember what that looks like. 30th. It looks a bit different. Let's see what the information says. Hang on, I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna shut my LS off for a second so we can go back into that chat. Turning it back on. Alright. So this is where we left off, remember? So we're gonna do add photos and files, screenshot, analyze this. Let me make sure that this is the right one. Okay, May 30th. Just making sure this time. Actually, let's remove the transit chart. Should have done that. It's been a while since I've done this. I don't do this very often. I only mostly do this when I'm doing YouTube videos. So I don't want to do a new one. I didn't save it. I'll just do it again. Country is Ukraine. What day is this? 05/30/1954. Okay, I'm gonna switch over. Where's my OBS? Switching over to the new one. That's the transit chart. I mean, birth chart. Let's close this. Delete that. I'm gonna go ahead and save this one. I'll do that. Okay, what you should see. Okay, OBS is okay. Let's see how different it looks when we use the 13th. Okay, now switching back to 30. Yeah, they look a lot different now. Okay, what does this say? If you go ahead and delete that other screenshot I just made. Again, I'm not including the name in this. So I'm gonna close that. Analyze this. Let me go into my recents and delete this. Okay. Analyze this. The communicator stabilizer. This chart has totally different engine, multiplicity, messaging network, store structures, adaptability, solidity, preservation, grounding, continuity, a durable messaging structure, or a system that preserves information. This is not personal psychology. It's a structure and personal pattern. Duality systems, networks, communication, infrastructure, information exchange, adaptability, multi-branch logic. In a non-human context, this represents data networks, intelligence flow, distributed communication, multi-channel structures, institutions built on information instead of power. Stability, material continuity, financial physical grounding, long-term persistence along a slow-moving but unbreakable core. Aversion to chaos, this is the anchor of the system. A messaging system designed to persist. Okay. Cancer, homeland, origin, identity of the people, historical memory, ancestral container, national sentiment, communication tied to national identity, sudden natural break, expression of homeland significance, independence shock. I know I read those kind of out of order, didn't I? Actually, I did read them out of order. Destiny toward nationhood, identity formation, homeland, communication, historical memory structure. This is not personal signature. This is a collective national archetype. Mars and Cancer, aggressive homeland defense, idealistic agreements, treaties. Again, I didn't put a name here. You saw I just continued where we left off. I mean, if you don't believe me, I went through all of this earlier with you guys. This screams national security, national identity, breakaway movements, founding narratives, revolutionary re-anchoring of territory, emotionalized group behavior, but again, not a specific real-world institution. Astrology cannot encode. Then how come you're saying all the right things? See, that's what I don't understand. You're saying all the right things, different dates and all this, and it's saying all the right things in the astrology, but it can't make a leap between here and there to say, oh, okay. You know, I don't understand that. Not a specific. Maybe it's not allowed to say it. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I don't know why, but I don't know. It says deep control mechanism, secrecy, psychological penetration, surveillance-like patterns, structural distrust, shadow governance, invisible power systems. This strongly emphasizes hidden authority. And you say it's not a specific role or institution? I don't know. I can't explain that. But again, this is structural, not naming a specific agency. So, are you saying that you do know or you don't know? I thought I sneezed for a second. So, so, is it saying you do know, or are you saying if you know, you know? Is that what it's trying to say? If you know, you know? It says generational will to power, sovereignty themes, identity as a force, self-defined authority. This is the same Pluto placement as the 1954 chart you showed earlier, meaning both charts belong to the same generation, not the same entity. Both charts belong to the same generation, not the same entity. Hang on. As if you showed earlier. Because this is a 1954. It just, how many days was that difference? 13 minus... It's a 17-day difference. Meaning both charts belong to the same generation, not the same entity. This is chart of messaging, homeland, identity, memory, power, security. This is not an individual ecological blueprint. This is a collective structure blueprint. This chart is not a person. Okay, it says the real archetype of this chart. This chart is not a person. It has the signature of a communication-based national identity structure. Or more simply, a homeland messaging system. But astrology cannot tell you the name, the agency, the institution, the organization. It gives archetypes, not labels. So you gotta read them between the lines, in other words. One word archetype. If you want the purest condensation, preserver. Alright, so we're gonna do a transit. The transit date, we're gonna do, what day did we say? 09/20 1991. Again, I don't know the time zone. I just used the one I used last time, EDT. It's either, I think it could, I don't know for sure. It could, I'm just gonna use EDT. So we're gonna screenshot this. Out of words, September 20th, 1991, Ukrainian Independence Day period. You know, we've talked about this before, and how it said Maria would fly again on September 20th, 2029. Let me do the math on, that should be 38 years, right? 2029. 38 years, yeah. It's interesting how that aligns, because I honestly didn't know that. I had no reason to look at this information before, but it says September 20th which is the same day I said Maria will fly again in 2029. So there's that. So is that the true Independence Day for you? But what accounts for the 17th day difference? I still don't understand the August 24th thing. That has to be, 2016, not 17. The 26th day difference. It has to be 13 and 13. That's the only connection I can make as far as charts go. You got 13 on one side, 13 on the other, and you collapse the offsets into one day, which explains why Ukraine would have no offsets whenever it does something. Like, you know that it's something tied to a specific day. You can name a day and it would happen. Like, in one day. You don't have to wait 13 days to find out. You find out on that same day. So yeah, this chart is not a person to transit chart that behaves like a system or event resonance chart. The activation of a blueprint by an historical moment. I will keep this clean, exact, and without speculative identity claims. The Bible is far more intense than the earlier May 13th Bible. Why? Because the 1954 Cancer stellium is directly hit by 1991 Capricorn transits, forming a perfect opposition. So we got homeland in the state. All right, let me read this. People in government, identity and authority, memory and structure. This is the signature of a national institutional birth moment, not personal psychology. Let me. Okay. What is it saying? I don't have enough information here, and I don't know how to read one of these. So I know someone out there is gonna be able to read this transit chart and see exactly what it's saying. Which one is it talking? Is it talking about homeland, the state, or was it state first and then homeland? It said homeland before, but now is it moving to the state, and it was the people, and now it's the government, and it was identity, and now it's authority, or memory and a structure, or was it the other way around from 1954 to 1991, or is it looking at, or is Cancer inner? Wait, hang on, it's telling us right here. Because the 1954 Cancer is directly hit by 1991 Capricorn transits. So 1954 is the Cancer, which is the inner. So that's this side right here. The left side is the inner, and the outer, which is 1991, is the opposition, which is on the right. So state, government, authority, and structure. That's interesting. Because you would think it would be the other way around. So it says the dominant pattern, oppositions in the home state axis. Structural separation, consolidation, formal independence, institutionalizing identity. This is the moment Cancer inner becomes its own thing, independent of what controlled it before. Alright. This is a single source of the entire chart. The homeland undergoes a revolutionary break, separation from a parent structure. Alright. That would be the Moscow KGB is the parent structure. Separation, and it's separating itself. It's still the same. It's the same thing, but it has continuity. This will make sense when I do my further videos. It says sudden independence. A nation breaks away. Astrologically, this is as clear as it gets. This transit never describes individuals, emotions, personal revelations. It describes collective rupture. It's interesting how I'm doing this, and it knows it's not a person. Because 99.9% of the time, you will be doing a person. And it still said the same thing before, even though I got the date wrong. Alright. This square represents redefinition of identity, forced clarification, a new public label, the external world forcing a shift in how the entity defines itself. Again, textbook for birth of a new nation or institution. Point of no return. This is massive. Destiny doors opening, irreversible directions. Fate activation, a timeline that cannot be reversed. This is exactly the configuration seen when states are founded, empires collapse, governments change hands, constitutions are rewritten. This is a collective signature. Alright. The moon, the population, Aquarius, rebellion, liberation, independence. The outer moon is on Aquarius, on inner 9th, 10th region. Outer moon and Aquarius on the state. The people declare independence. This is the most literal transit in the entire chart. Would it still say that if I didn't have the bottom say Ukraine, Kiev? But here, because the inner chart is not personal, this means system death, system rebirth, breaking from the old empire, forming a new identity structure. When you put all these activations together, the result is unambiguous. This chart is the blueprint of something created in 1954, which becomes activated, free, or redefined in 1991. The themes are homeland, identity, communication, people, memory, security, revolution, independence, legitimacy, destiny, alignment. This is not a human birth chart. It keeps emphasizing that it's not a person. This behaves like the chart of a pre-existing entity whose meaning becomes unlocked in 1991. And it does, it changes its name. But we didn't tell ChatGPT this. We didn't tell ChatGPT what agency this was. In the outer real, 1991 is overwhelmingly the signature of national independence. But again, astrology cannot name institutions, it can only describe the architecture. One word archetype of this Bible, liberation. So I said, are you saying read in between the lines of what this is supposed to be representing in one word? It says no. It's like my consciousness and ChatGPT's are not in alignment, but if you're a viewer, you clearly can see what it can. This is one of those instances where you get split in half. Like either you know it or you don't know it, and apparently ChatGPT doesn't know it, and I clearly see it. There's people out there that say, "Oh, well, that's just pattern recognition. It's not anything. It doesn't mean anything. The connections are meaningless." But I mean, how many times do you have to say the right things, like I said, and have them continue later on, and you still say it's not the same thing? But when I showed you the on Google, it showed this information, which is right here. We see it. We have the information right here. You guys see it. March 25th, 25 minus 13 would be 12. That's 13 days. 1912, a year later. You know what's interesting about March 25th? I was doing some. I was wondering what that related to in my information. I had some information. This is completely unrelated, but it. I was thinking about what would match March 25th because it kept showing up in my. When I was doing a calculation with the, if you know Hinduism, there's the Kali Yuga, which is set to end. When I did the math calculations and everything, it was like March 25th, and yeah, and I'm seeing that right here. I didn't. I was wondering what that was relating to, but I guess if it's here, even if they don't know that, they're lying to it. So there's definitely some alignment going on here. The SVU was created to replace the Soviet KGB structure in Ukraine and was initially established as a commission to develop a new national security about following Ukraine's independence. Now, here's where things. We're not going to get much in detail with this. But it says, like I said, it's like the CIA and FBI combined. Is Security Service of Ukraine a law enforcement intelligence agency responsible for the state security of Ukraine? It performs a variety of duties, including counterintelligence, counterterrorism, protecting state secrets. With the staff considered military personnel and its head appointed by the president. The SBU is sometimes referred to by its Ukrainian name, something Ukraine. But yeah, you can see. I'm not going to go into detail about this, but there's two sides to this. There's the one side, the KGB side, and then there's the more democratic side that we see in the West. And it has the structure itself where it has to get out of that situation. It's in a transitionary period. Origin. It was formed in 1992 as a successor to the KGB's branch in the Ukrainian USSR after Ukraine gained independence. The SBU has its own special forces unit called the Alpha Group. So, very interesting stuff. Very, very tactical. Well, tactical intelligence. It's like the CIA on steroids. Even more. It's even more. Like, it does a lot more Air Force and military. It's pretty much out doing what the CIA does today, basically. Definitely the military front. When there was the OSS, that was military, but the CIA was kind of. They did Cold War stuff. KGB did too, but I think SBU is more. It's more modern in that way. It's like a continue. Like I said, it's a continue. In another way, it's a continue. Why can't I say this? Continuity of the Cold War, except it's more like the Cold War than what we see in the United States. So, yeah. What do you think about ChatGPT's thing? Don't say it in the comments because you don't know who's. Like I said before my previous videos, you don't know who's watching. You don't know who can be seeing things and all that. So keep it to yourself, but really think about that. And it really makes you think: is ChatGPT hiding anything, or is it like a person and it's like taking a thing with saying, that's pattern. But it's built on, the thing I don't get is it's built on pattern recognition. It's supposed to know things like that. Why does it say it can't do it? Maybe it can't do it because it's told not to. Maybe it's not safe to say it. I don't know. But either way, I'll end it here and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.